All right, this video will be pretty short and sweet. It's just about data types and object types in Python. So there are data types. There's kind of just, I think there's only four main data types in Python. There are, so let me go ahead and add a little text box. So the data types in Python. And why it's important to know this is that they have different properties and they're all base types. So everything is built on top of those anyways. So when we talk about object types, they're just things that you build, but really they're built on top of these, so it doesn't really matter. Or they're a combination of all of them. So the first is you have integers, which are, they're integers. So they do number things. They can add, subtract, divide, multiply. Cannot divide by zero. That's a thing. There are floats, which are like integers, but they are numbers. They do number things. Numbers with decimals. Even if the decimal is just like 4.0, 4.232, etc. The fact that it has the decimal is what makes it a float, and it's basically the same as an integer, but cannot be used as an index. Don't worry about what that means right now. There are lists in Python. So in general, they're just collections. We'll just call it collections because we're everything after this. Nope. We'll talk about collections a little bit. There are strings. Strings are text objects, so they have quote marks and contain letters, numbers, etc., but they're text and not numerical. So you can add strings. So string addition is concatenation, which is just where you take two strings and you kind of mash them side by side. I don't think there's string subtraction. I don't think there's string multiplication, and I don't think there's string division. I just think there's string addition, but I don't know. We can test that in another video just about strings. Strings are fairly simple. You can loop through them. So let's get to collections because strings are technically a collection. So we'll say here comprise of characters. Characters are like A, B, C. Basically, like an individual keystroke. Like if you hit if you hit a key and get a thing, that's a character. So strings are just comprised of a bunch of characters. So now we have collections. We have lists. Lists are lists of things. So list of things, you can have a list of numbers, strings, really anything. You can have a list of lists. It doesn't matter. The thing about lists is they have indexes. Indexing is based on position. So, and then indexing starts at 0. So let's say we have a list. 1A. Let's not make this 1. First, we'll do 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what this means is this item contains, we call them items in the list. So first is an item in the list, and it is in the 0th position. So the first thing in the list is in the 0th position. So we would say in the 0th position is first. In position 1, and I really don't like to say first. I like to say position 0 position 1, position 2, position 3. So in position 1, we have A. In position 2, we have 3. And in position 3, we have 5. So position 0, 1, 2, and 3. So lists also have length, which is just the number of items in a list. So in this case, this would have a length of 4 because 4 items. All right, so those are lists. And there's a whole lot of other things with lists. We're not going to get too far into them. The next thing is a dictionary, which is a collection that contains key value pairs and keys. Indexing is based on keys. So the indexing actually isn't based on positioning. There is no order. So no order in a dictionary. It's based on just the keys. So dictionaries are probably the most important thing you can learn if you're trying to go into data. But they're also really confusing if you've never worked with them before. So just be aware, like, this really important thing is really confusing and it's really worth fully understanding. We can make a video on dictionaries, not a big deal. The next thing that we have are, so I'm not going to do an example because I just want to get to other things. Tuples contain items. Indexing is based on position. And the thing about tuples, so tuples are kind of like lists, except the difference is they are immutable, which means they cannot be changed in memory. So a list can be changed in memory. Like, you can assign you can assign a thing to a list, make it in memory, and then it will, if you change that list, it'll just update it in that memory spot. If you try and change a tuple, what happens is it deletes it from memory and creates a new one, or it just creates a brand new one in memory. So there is no modifying tuples. The next things are sets. These contain items. There is no order, no indexing. You can't index a set, but it's orderless, so it doesn't really know. Like, indexing isn't the purpose of it. It's just to contain things. The key about sets is there are no duplicates. So in this list, I could have 5 in here, like, as many times as I want. I could put 3 in here again, or A. If I have a set, that's not allowed. You can only have one item in there one time. And you can add, subtract sets, which is pretty cool. You can take the union or the intersection of sets, which is also pretty cool. I mean, they're just like sets from whenever you learned about them as a kid. So, and if you haven't, don't worry, that's okay. I'm trying to think of another base data type that is, like, really, really important. And I think I've covered all of them. So these are the data types. I'll probably make a video on each data type just so you can fully try and understand it. I probably won't make one on integers and floats unless I think it's something really interesting. But strings and collections, especially collections, they're, like, really important. If you want to work in data, you're going to work with collections all the time. So anyways, thanks for watching this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope now you at least know, like, these are the base types in Python. So everything that you work with now is just built on these base types in Python. We'll talk about object types in another video. I'm going to leave it out and just put it somewhere else just so these can be separated. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.